The Vatican is actually walled off from the rest of Rome, and the infamous Basilica di San Pietro lies within. It shares a 2-mile border with Italy and is about 5 times smaller than Monaco, or 1/8 the size of New York City's Central Park. The Vatican's secret archives is another place where mysterious artifacts and manuscripts from the past are being hidden. Some believe the genealogy of Jesus Christ is being hidden within, which will quickly discredit any authority that the Pope has. But what else could the Catholic Church want to keep hidden from the public? From books all about black magic to a top-secret time machine, here are diabolical things supposedly hidden away in the Vatican. Number 10. The third secret of the Fatima children. Conspiracy theories state that there's a hidden prophecy from the Fatima children who had made correct prophecies in the past. The Fatima children consisted of 3 young Portuguese shepherds. All 3 of the children also claimed to have been visited by the Virgin Mary 6 times in 1917. Mary trusted the 3 kids, Lucia Santos, and her cousins, Jacinta and Francisco Marto, with 3 secrets. During their first secret, they described a vision from hell consisting of a great sea of fire with terrifying demons who were repulsive to look at. The second secret was about World War I and the possibility of a second World War if Russia didn't convert to Catholicism. If Russia had converted, though, there would have been peace in the future. The third secret from the child prophets originally chose not to be disclosed, but would eventually come out in 1957. Many believed it was about nuclear annihilation with Russia. Under the pressure, the Vatican released the so-called secret, but many believe the true prophecy remains hidden away for safekeeping. Number 9. The Grand Grimoire. Some believe that the Vatican Secret Archives holds on to what's known as the Grand Grimoire, which is a book that holds on to instructions on how to create magical objects. This includes instructions on how to make things like talismans and amulets, as well as how to perform magic spells, charms, or invoke supernatural entities. The Grand Grimoire also explains on how to summon the devil or even how to make a deal with him. It's supposedly a book that was from information gathered by the original writings of King Solomon. If you can make a deal with the devil, what would you sell your soul for? Let us know in the comments section and we'll see if we can make it happen. Number 8. The Chronovisor. Although its existence hasn't completely been confirmed just yet, Father Francois Brun, a French priest, describes this strange device in his book called Le Nouveau Mystère du Vatican. In this book, he describes a functional time-viewing device that was built by 12 world-famous scientists in the 1960s. Among these scientists were Enrico Fermi, who helped build the world's first nuclear reactor, and Werner von Braun, a famous German rocket engineer who worked with the Americans. It was described as a large cabinet with a cathode ray tube that would be used for viewing events that took place in history. It also apparently had the ability to track and locate certain individuals, almost like some kind of all-seeing eye. It worked by using electromagnetic radiation that was left over from previous events such as the crucifixion of Jesus and certain spectacles of Rome. This photo here allegedly comes from the Chronovisor and escaped the archives. It was unclear if it was actually constructed for the Vatican or if they seized it somehow from a foreign power. Many aren't sure if it even exists at all. Many do believe, though, it could be locked away in the Vatican archives. Others actually believe it was disassembled because they decided it held too much power. Number 7. Extraterrestrial evidence. While the Vatican certainly holds some traditional beliefs, their stance on aliens has been somewhat puzzling. Pope Francis even said he would baptize aliens if they ever came to Earth and if they asked him to. So could the Vatican be hiding physical evidence that aliens do exist? If you think about it, evidence of alien existence would bring many questions to whether or not religion in general is even necessary. This also makes some wonder if the Pope is conspiring with aliens to implant us with computer chips. Or even the crazy idea that an alien will be disguised as Jesus during his second coming. The Vatican also has access to an astronomical telescope in Arizona known as the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope. Who knows what it could have found already? There would obviously be too many lights to actually see anything if they try to build this kind of thing in their own country. At this facility, certain machines are being used to search for extraterrestrial life. However, there has been some rumors going around that this place could be doing research for what's known as Project Lucifer. This involves nuking Saturn to turn into a star and usher in an apocalypse. What do you believe? Number 6. Pope Pius XII helped Hitler. It's believed that private letters received by the Pope which contain historical importance are being kept secret as well. Possibly files that were hidden away for quite some time to show that the Nazis had a surprising alliance with the Vatican Church during World War II. But since Italy was allied with the Germans, we suppose it would make sense after all. Popes in the past have refused to leave the Vatican and also refused to recognize any authority from the Italian government since the 14th century, so it's hard to know for sure. In 1999, a book was published by a British journalist who examined the actions of Pope Pius XII. He claimed that the Pope didn't speak enough against the Reich and didn't help the Jews during the Holocaust. Was it really his responsibility though? It claimed that he was anti-Semitic and wanted to promote Catholic supremacism over Europe. Cromwell had been criticized quite often for his interpretation of some documents, and some even believe that Hitler wanted the Pope to be assassinated. Whatever the case may be, the answer is likely hidden away within the walls of the Vatican secret archives. Number 5. The Real Last Supper. Currently being held in Milan, only about 20 to 25 people per year are actually able to see it in person, making it somewhat difficult for amateurs to examine. However, some claim that the real one is actually being hidden away in the Vatican. Many are familiar with the Da Vinci Code and how the Last Supper plays an important role. Others are quite certain that the real Last Supper is hiding an important part of history and the Vatican might not want you to know about it. Is the real Last Supper actually portraying a woman known as Mary Magdalene? There's been much debate as to whether or not this is John or Mary, and if you look closer to the person's hands, it almost looks as if though the person is holding on to a baby. Could this be the divine ancestor that the Vatican doesn't want you to know about? Number 4. Treasures of the Knights Templar. Some believe that it was actually the Knights Templar who gained possession of the Ark of the Covenant while they were crusading in the Middle East. The religious warriors known as the Knights Templar formed in 1114 and were a fighting force to reckon with. They gathered immense riches from their journeys to the Holy Land, but the plunder that they came across and brought back with them still remains a mystery. A few years later, the Knights Templar were basically banished, arrested by the Pope, and made them flee for their freedom. They possibly ended up all over the world, gaining seats of power from their immense riches. After being stashed away for many years, transcripts from the trial of the Knights Templar were stated to exist here in 2007. The trial led to years of torture and burning at the stake for the group. The Pope also intended to pardon the Knights Templar, but he was coerced by the French King Philip to condemn them. How much treasure could the Pope have actually plundered from the Knights Templar, and what was he able to come across? Number 3. Exorcisms. The Catholics feel the presence of the devil quite often, and one priest, Father Gabriel Amorth, has performed over 160,000 exorcisms, expelling a large amount of demons in the process. Although this number doesn't indicate the number of victims necessarily, it indicates the amount of rituals and prayers done to expel demons from various buildings as well. Amorth has also taught bishops how to tell the difference between a psychiatric illness and satanic possession. If anyone could perform a proper exorcism, I'm supposing it would be the Pope. Here you see Pope Francis perform a live exorcism in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican City. A teenager is receiving the spiritual treatment here in this video and has an eerie look in his eyes. He was forced to be transported in a wheelchair and restrained, or he would have never made it to this holy country. The Pope shakes his hand as he touches his forehead. The guy lets out a monstrous scream, and possibly a soul or a demon has left his body. Was this just a well-planned hoax by the Catholic Church, or can the Pope really perform exorcisms? Number 2. The world's largest porn collection. We all know that faith in God can't control all your urges. Often listed as a joke, it's never been confirmed nor denied that this actually exists. There might have been a big stash during the days of magazines and stuff like that, but in modern times, it would likely be hidden on a supercomputer somewhere within the confines. Maybe this is why the archives are so secret, who knows. At number 1, a letter from Queen Mary of Scots. Queen Mary of Scots was a Protestant who was found guilty of plotting to assassinate Queen Elizabeth in 1586. Eventually, she was executed for her plots. English armies raided Scotland relentlessly, with her abbey being one of the biggest casualties. This was also done as a punishment for refusing to have Queen Mary of Scots marry King Henry VIII. She attempted to regain her throne of Scotland, but would rather be locked up and in dungeon for quite some time. During her time of imprisonment, she sent Pope Sixtus V a letter to save her and forgive her for her sins. She also went on to profess her belief in Catholicism, but also spoke against some falsehoods that she believed in. The letter is extremely important historically, but she ended up being executed anyways.
So which one did you think was the most mysterious? Let us know in the comments section, and be sure to check out more of our videos over here. I'll see you there.